Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Tell the Truth podcast, episode 16. Y'all can see the title, Operation Broken Helmet. The Chiefs get a big dub, wild card weekend, super wild card weekend. The
Big
Chiefs
dub.
win 26-7. They beat the Miami Dolphins, sending them packing back to Miami
Enjoy the
and
beach.
and move on to the divisional round to face the rival Buffalo Bills. So, with that being said, I'm your host, DG. This is my main man, my guy, my brother. CJ's in the building. D-Mac is somewhere around. We don't know yet, but he
We
will
can't
be
find
here.
D-Mac. We gonna find him.
He'll be here at some point, or whatever. D-Mac's running a little bit late. But yeah, we here, man. Glad to see y'all in the building, man. CJ, let's talk about this dub, man. 26-7. Chiefs get a dub. Defense was dominant. Offense put together a solid game, and we roll, man. What was your thoughts on
It felt like negative 26 outside, DG. It was cold as dirt. They weren't lying. I couldn't feel my fingers. My feet still cold to this day. Um,
it?
but it was a once in a lifetime experience, man. Like DG said, there ain't nothing like obviously being in an Arrowhead. Anytime you get a chance to get a dub, um, yeah, and then it's a once in a lifetime experience, bro. It's
Right.
a legendary game, cold as hell. It was everything you thought it was. It was that and more. So
Nah.
I was blessed to be in the building. Thankfully, by the grace of God, I was able to get inside, so I was able to get to the club level. So I ain't had to deal with the elements too much. But overall, great game, like you said, DG. Defense played amazing, top to bottom.
I seen it.
Enjoy the beach, rate for real, but not respect.
Yeah.
But no, we've been saying this all year, DG. Like this defense is going to be elite. They've been elite. They've been top two, top three, whatever you want to call it, the entire year. We've been top three in points per game given up. Obviously, we've been top as far as the league in yards per game as well. I think the top two games we've given up this year has been 27 and 24 points. Only defense in the NFL that hasn't given up 30 points this year is your Kansas City Chiefs, DG. So
Right.
this defense has been elite all year. Spags, like I've been saying, if there was a defensive coach of the year or assistant coach of the year, whatever you want to call it, he would get it, no debate. You got three guys that should be all pro: Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed. I don't think it's even a debate right now how good this defense is. And we've been missing guys all year. Brian Cook's been out the
Thanks.
lineup because of his ankle injury he suffered in Green Bay. Obviously, Chris Jones is out the lineup for the first game because this is contract situation. Charles Omenihu missed 7 games due to his suspension. Obviously, Nick Bolton missed games with his injury. Drew Tranquill, Willie Gabe in and out the lineup. So we've had guys in and out the lineup all year. And I think this past Saturday, you finally got a accumulation of all the guys being there on one accord, DG. And you saw how good this defense can be. And thankfully, right as we're recording this, the Chiefs just dropped a mic'd up of L'Jarius Sneed like an hour ago. And Sneed was locking, like, y'all already know how we do when we
Bruh.
start locking shit up. We was locking shit up. So when 38 and 22 is on the field, it get real scary for a lot of teams. But y'all know the stats. I ain't got to break it down, y'all. Y'all just seen everything from one-on-ones to breaking inside and out the numbers, staying in phase. Obviously, we wanted to get more turnovers. We've done that in back-to-back weeks now. Mike Edwards being that ball hawk that we signed in the offseason from Tampa Bay, he did the same thing that we've seen him versus the Bucks when we played him in the Super Bowl. So this defense is hitting on all cylinders now, DG. Like, there's nothing more you could ask for, honestly. And everything I've wanted them to do, they did it on Saturday. I'm looking forward to Sunday, man. I can't wait. But no, I'm nothing bad to say about the defense at all, man. They're doing what they need to do. They're peaking at the right moment. And as we needed it, we're going to need their best performance on Sunday night for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I said it all last week, man. Physicality. Be the more physical team. Beat this team to hell. And they literally came out and did just that. Like you could clearly tell there was a conscience, a collective thought process that we just gonna come out here and we gonna whoop this team's ass tonight. They knew what kind of team Miami was. They knew they were a finesse team. Knew they were a team that didn't really like to get physical at the line like that or whatever. And I think the whole game, the press that Snead had on Hill, that play defined that whole game, bro. Like,
Lock.
just from start to finish, it was. And I know a lot of people said like, oh, the Chiefs should have scored more. They should have put up more points in the red zone. But and I agree, like, they could have been a lot better in the red zone. It probably would have been a much different game.
Absolutely.
That was a blowout. Like
it,
that was an absolute evisceration of a team. Like you couldn't ask for more, especially from the defensive side of the ball. The game plan that they had put together, the scheme that Spags had put together, like to rotate your safeties from cover 2 to cover 1 to cover, like, bro, Spags was diabolical on Saturday night. Like he was really in his Duffy, um, out there or whatever, and putting guys in certain positions to make plays. I thought everybody was flying around, from every carry that A-Chain or Mostert had, gang tackles, 4 or 5 guys on the ball or whatever. And then when the pass rush got going, and you could clearly tell the Dolphins they didn't want to be there no more after a while. It wasn't fun for them no more. It was obviously fun for our guys or whatever, as cold as hell as it was. Offensively, man, they did their thing, just took care of the ball, took the points when they needed to, and that's all this offense really needs to do at this point in time. But my boy D-Mac is here.
Be
You
Mac here,
know,
y'all.
What's
we
up,
got
y'all?
the
How's it
we got
going?
the
We
guy in
found
the
them.
building.
You
Man, you
dig?
want to give us your quick thoughts on the game and stuff like that, man?
Yeah, man. Look, you guys said it. The physicality on both sides of the ball, specifically in the trenches, was what stood out to me. They hit them early and often, and really made it so they didn't enjoy the rest of the game. I mean, the truth of the matter is that they dominated from the first offensive snap, really the drive. I mean, obviously the first 2 passes don't go the way you go, but then after that, you're just rolling down the field, taking full advantage of their lack of second level talent. They were obviously missing some guys. Offensive line, even obviously knowing the Dolphins not having their edge rushers, gave Mahomes all the time in the world that he wanted. They dominated as you expect a very good offensive line to do versus a team that's down its edge rushers. That was encouraging to see. They moved guys off the ball consistently. I think that was Trey Smith's best game of the season, in my personal opinion. And he was excellent, not just in the run, but also very good in the pass versus Christian Wilkins in the time in which the Dolphins were able to get him isolated. And because Vic Fangio knew that he had to blitz to create pressure, that was often. So I think that the trenches will really tell the story as far as the physicality, and that permeated throughout the entirety of the team. You saw the wide receivers play with a certain physicality. Obviously, Rasheed Rice had no intentions of going down with if 3
Big
guys had to
foes.
tackle him to make sure. Yes, big four. Shout out to Taylor
Big
Swift.
foes. Stop playing.
Isaiah Pacheco, I mean, just running through people on a consistent basis. CEH had him some moments as well. And then you flip to the defensive side. I mean, it's everything that you expect from this defense, given how good they were during the regular season because of the talent that was on this defense. And then you're getting a playoff Spags game plan on top of it. You talk about the diabolical nature of those safety rotations. Um, I mean, it was awesome to watch. These corners absolutely balled out as they normally do. Obviously, Trent had the run bad play in which Tyreek Hill was able to get him. You got Tippy Cat to a great play and making a great play. Outside of that, this defense did not allow them to get into the 25-yard line. That tells the story of the game right there. They did not take a snap inside of your 25-yard line. That's how special of a performance this was for what was an elite offense for the entirety of the regular season as well. So they put pressure on a consistent basis, forced 2 random mistakes. They were physical with the wide receivers, even the speed wide receivers at that. Did not make a difference. So I was encouraged by the performance all the way around, and it came with a playoff mentality, a playoff attention to detail, specifically from the coaching staff, in my opinion. That was fun to see.
Yeah. Yeah, dominating performance on both sides of the ball, especially at the line of scrimmage, man. Going into, I get, should we just go ahead and get to next game, or are we gonna, y'all want to still talk about the Dolphins, or you got clips, D-Man?
I didn't have a chance to grab the clips, unfortunately.
Okay,
So no,
They
okay,
don't need
no,
to
we're
see
good.
the evidence.
yeah,
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 no, I
yeah.
mean, y'all know what happened in the game. Y'all know the domination that occurred. I mean, it's up to you guys as far as how much you want to, if there's anything specifically you want to hit on as far as the Dolphins are concerned, because we could do another hour on what's coming up
Locked
next week,
up.
though.
That's what happened, man. You
Man,
know, y'all.
I do want to ask y'all one. Did y'all see the Hard Knocks episode?
No,
I
I
haven't
didn't get a
watched it.
chance to
I
see
haven't
it, but
watched it yet.
I heard some things that were said. So
Yeah,
Y'all
enlighten
I'm
us.
gotta
gonna
watch it,
watch
bro.
it. I'm gonna
It's
watch it
it's
after
a
this.
it's
I'm
a
gonna watch it
yeah
after this.
it's a doozy, man. You definitely got to tune in. From the things that I seen, man, the whole week they weren't ready. they, were,
They weren't
they
ready.
were not ready. And one thing I did learn, especially, and this is kind of going into the Dolphins organization. Man, I like Mike McDaniel, but he is not a motivator at all. He gives you absolutely nothing as far as like motivation wise, and it just kind of feels like he's a friend that's kind of like a coordinator that like he's great at, I guess, calling plays or whatever, a scheme and stuff like that. But like as far as motivation and watching them guys like in their meetings and stuff, like they don't look like they cared at all. Like they didn't want to be there. They were the season. I think after they lost to the Bills, the season was over. Like they were done. So
That
that's the one
that
thing.
game changed. That game changed everything for them. That went from being playing at home in Florida in
Mm-hmm.
70-degree weather to playing in negative 30-degree wind chill on the road in Kansas City.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that essentially was the biggest game of their season for sure.
You could clearly tell he was trying his best to try to get them motivated, amped up, like ready to play, and it wasn't clicking at all. Like, a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
those guys is ready to get up out of here.
I'm not surprised by that. I mean, it's some teams are built for this time of year. Um, some teams aren't. This is a team in Kansas City that has exceeded and excelled at this time of year, and they know what it takes to win. Some teams aren't necessarily there yet, and may never get there. But it's certainly you could feel from the first snap the difference in intensity and physicality that you bring to this game. One team
Yeah.
was out there because they had to be, and the other team was out there because they wanted to be, and that's my personal opinion on it. But if that's all we have for the Dolphins game, I'd like to transition kind of in this way. I think that
Mhm.
what you are going to continue to see here um, is kind of like a well planned out video game. Um, every single level is going to get more difficult and more complex, and you're going to have to find more creative solutions if you want to go to the next level. Um, and so that's the way that I kind of look at these things because what you saw from the Dolphins because of their injuries, because of their kind of coaching staff, because of the experience that Kansas City already had versus them, they understood that there was a level that the Chiefs played at and that the Dolphins really couldn't even come close to, especially given the circumstances.
Yeah.
Now you're going into the next level, quote unquote, for, in my opinion, taking the step from a quarterback that's not a game changer to quote Cam Newton, a guy that
Game
is
manager.
yes, that plays within the system and won't elevate his teammates around him. That still has talent on both sides of the ball, to be perfectly clear, as far as the Dolphins are concerned. And now you're moving into an elite quarterback that can give you some more problems, specifically in second reaction plays, specifically in running the ball. That presents difficult circumstances from that aspect that your defense has to adjust to. That still has weapons. We've seen Khalil Shakir, obviously Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, their two tight end sets. James Cook has come on. We got a good look at him in week 14. We know about Diggs. We know about Gabe Davis, who probably will end up playing. I assume he's going to be back. Um, and then obviously on the defensive side, you have guys that are pretty talented over there. Rousseau, Ed Oliver. Their linebacker situation is a little bit in flux with some injuries. They've lost Milano, but still they have a very good safety tandem. Russell Douglas is expected to play as well. He's been a very good corner this year. So you are facing a step up in talent from that perspective. And their defensive scheme is more complex than what you saw from Vic Fangio, partially because Fangio had to play with one hand tied behind his back, but also because they generally have mixed up coverages a lot more often than the Dolphins did during the regular season as well. So this is that next step up in level. And I think that should things not to get ahead of yourself, if you were to play the Ravens in the AFC Championship game, that would be an extra step up in a level from where those guys have been operating for the regular season. But we'll talk about them when we get to them. So for me, it's about that next level, specifically as it pertains to what is the premier matchup of Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes and the ways in which Josh Allen can present different circumstances for this defense. And I want to get your thoughts on that specifically. How do you guys think this defense has to take its level up a different, kind of step confirm to make sure that you guys are prepared for Josh Allen?
The main thing is obviously the same thing as all the matchups we've seen against 17 is keep him in the pocket. Obviously, like those second reaction plays, like D-Mac said, you don't want Josh Allen to feel comfortable back there, especially because we know outside the pocket he can be very dangerous because he can run for a 50-yard touchdown like you saw versus Pittsburgh, or he can throw a 50-yard bomb if you give him the opportunity to. So he's a special quarterback. Obviously, he's a top five, top three quarterback in the league, wherever you decide to rank him, because he can do certain things that other quarterbacks just can't do. He's on a short list of guys who can make plays inside the pocket and outside the pocket. And even his flaws for his turnovers, and sometimes he turns into Joshy, as we like to call him here in Chiefs Kingdom. He's a great quarterback who can make plays after the snap, pre and post snap. So he's a special talent, and that's the biggest thing for me. Is obviously they're trying to get James Cook involved, and they're trying to be more established in the run game. And you can see Joe Brady has taken over as the OC compared to obviously when they let Dorsey go, because they've obviously limited the snaps or limited the throwing attempts as much as Josh Allen wants to do, and giving the ball more to guys like James Cook, giving the ball more to short bursts to guys like Khalil Shakur, getting Dawson Knox back involved in the game plan. And like D-Mac said, staying in 12 personnel, getting in 11 personnel if they have to, and not necessarily going 4 wide and being in 10 personnel as much as they were. So, it starts and ends with 17 and keeping them in the pocket, and obviously having our spy on at all times. And this will be a big week for guys like Willie Gay and Drew Tranquil to kind of keep him in the pocket and keep him hemmed up. Obviously, you're not really going to sack Josh Allen a lot because he's, like you say, he's one of the better athletes in the league. So it's hard really to get him on the ground because obviously he's a smart guy. He's a cerebral. He knows what to do when the ball's in his hands, inside and outside the pocket, and get rid of it, try to shrug guys off and things like that. But the way you win plays with Josh Allen, every time you have a throwaway or an incompletion, that's a win for a guy like Josh Allen, because it's hard to really to get him on the ground because he's so athletic and so gifted, like we just said. So anytime you have a chance when it's second and long, third and medium, and in those situations you can force him to make a tight window throw or throw the ball away, you won that rep as a defense. So keep those guys in second and manageable, keep them in third and long. Obviously, they'll say the same thing for us as well because we know how special Pat Mahomes is at extending plays, but we're doing the same thing to their defense. Keep Josh Allen in the pocket. Don't let him break contain. This is a week, fellas, where you have your rushers. We're not rushing to get sacks. We're rushing to keep him in the pocket. So my job is obviously he's going to be around that 7 to 8 yard mark in the backfield. You just want to rush to stay on his level. So my job is to keep his jersey inside of my eye line and keep him on my level. And obviously, whoever we have aligned or assigned to be the quarterback spy will be aligned to stay inside of his middle line on his chest and stay with him at all times and mirror him wherever he goes. So this is a week. Obviously, it's gonna be a big challenge for our linebacking group. And given the fact that D-Mac said the linebackers for Buffalo will be out, a lot of them this week, it'll be a good tale of both defensive coordinators. Obviously, McDermott running the defense over there, and Spags for us who adjust well. Because there's gonna be a lot of pre-snap, post-snap changes where you're gonna have to rotate from 2 high to single high and things of that sort, like we saw a lot versus Miami. But yeah, it all starts and ends with 17. Because if you can keep him in the pocket and force him to make some mistakes and capitalize on those mistakes, which we'll get into later offensively, we'll have a good chance to win this game for sure.
Yeah, yeah. This game to me, in my opinion, is about what CJ pretty much said: contain discipline, not being the hero in a sense. Keeping him in the pocket is almost better than you trying to go after and get that vaunted sack. If you can get him to the ground, yeah, do what you can to get him to the ground, and when you do, make sure there's an assist. This is the game for half sacks. You need 2-3 guys to bring this guy down because he's that elite. We all seen what he can do once he gets outside of the pocket, and once he does that, you're cooked. So, this is, like I said, this is the game to not be a hero. This is the game to really play for your teammates. Keep your discipline, keep your contain. And like CJ said, if it's an incompletion or it's a tip pass or anything like that, or interception, that's a win for you. 3 and out, that's a win for you. So you take it where you get it, and just leave it there or whatever. I think as long as they do that, the defense, especially from the defensive line perspective, they should be able to come out with a win on this. I think the important part, really up the middle, I seen a lot when they were playing the Steelers, especially the big run that Josh had was kind of the contain, fell apart up the middle, and he just found the alley and took off and ran. So we really got to make sure our line, especially in our linebacking core too, that whoever's spying keeps their head on the swivel, and knows where he's going at all point in times. 17 is the engine to that offense. He's the thing that makes them go. So make sure if you can take him out, then you kill the engine, you kill that offense.
Yeah, I mean, look, don't fall for the face line. Look, it's going to put a lot of pressure on these linebackers. Fortunately, this is a linebacker crew that is playing at an extremely high level. One of the reasons why last year, where I felt like even though we didn't have Drew Tranquil at the time, I felt like better if we were to face Josh Allen because that second level it's a little bit more athletic with Leo Chanel there. And so I'm going to be very fascinated to see how, Steve Spagnuolo specifically weaponizes those guys. There were a lot of times in which during the Week 14 game in which they did what you were talking about, CJ, rushed with contain, didn't necessarily try to create a whole bunch of pressure and shoot gaps, make sure that you keep him in the pocket, force him to throw the ball, and then slowly but surely collapse. And obviously, that's a dangerous proposition. That puts a lot of responsibility in your secondary to hold up in coverage. Guess what? You got an elite secondary that can do that, and that's the important part of it. Using Willie Gay to spy a lot was also common, and it's understandable. Willie Gay is incredibly athletic. He can stay with Josh Allen on a consistent basis. And I'm going to be very fascinated to see how much we get to see of Drew and Nick and Willie and Leo in comparison. The thing that should be taken into account, this is a much better offensive line than the Dolphins. It's a more physical offensive line. So there are aspects of how much you decide to use some of those light boxes. And I'm not saying necessarily lack of linebackers, but really more so lack of defensive linemen. Unfortunately, it does sound like there may be a serious issue with Derek Nottingham playing in this game. Fortunately, you do have guys like Isaiah Buggs and Neil Farrell and Mike Pennell who stepped up from that standpoint. So hopefully, from a run stopping perspective, those guys will continue to play well, all things considered. But this is a team that is going to try and be physical with you and try and impose their will. You cannot allow that to happen. That did happen really to the Steelers at times as well. You spoke a little bit about the tight ends. Obviously, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, a very good duo for them. They have given us some issues in the past, specifically Dawson Knox. And you have to be ready to account for those guys, specifically the safeties have to play very well in coverage. But hey, this is the same quarterback that Shamari Connor was able to get his first NFL interception off of. This is a guy that you can force into errors. He has not had a game this season in which he has not turned the ball over back to back game, or at least in one of two games. He hasn't had consecutive clean games. He was obviously clean last game. We want to see some of those turnovers, and that's ultimately going to, be the biggest variance thing as far as that's concerned. So it's going to be very interesting from the defense aspect, and we'll circle back to it. So I feel like you gotta give credit here to Rashee Rice coming out first playoff game, 130 yards, should have been 2 touchdowns, only one. Excellent
Big
game
Bo,
from the
stop
rookie.
playing.
doing amazing work, being able to separate quickly and being available to Patrick Mahomes because of the blitz that was coming all day long. It's going to be a little bit of a different matchup what he's asked to do, but the ability for him to sit down and zone is going to be incredibly important. And what coverages like the Bills like to get to are a little bit more, zone based, not necessarily man to man. We'll see how much man to man they decide to go to. Obviously, the linebackers, specifically as it pertains to Travis Kelce, is going to be an interesting matchup. All things considered, I think that there's another opportunity for Rice to continue his breakout. I mean, what do you guys have to say about Rashee Rice? Do you think that this can continue throughout the entirety of the playoffs if he continues to play at this high level?
Yeah, for sure.
He's grown every week, and you can see the
Yeah.
growth from training camp to preseason to week 1 to now, and all those issues, DG, we were seeing about him in preseason, about his hands being inconsistent, not learning how to sit in zone, not learning how to find Pat's eyes or staying in his vision. We saw all of those mistakes he was making corrected on Saturday versus the Dolphins. He sat in zone on that ball route and was able to get back in Pat's vision, caught the ball, was able to make a play. Obviously, he made a great catch across the field on the crosser, Trav bringing 4 eyes to him, and then he was able to get across the field for a wide open touchdown, making plays inside of traffic and finishing plays. And I was like, finish the game with no drops. And that's what essentially what you want from a guy like Rashee, because we know he essentially is going to be the leader of this receiving group, pending now until we figure out what we're going to do this offseason. But for now, he's the leader of the dog in that receiver group. And for a lot of people, they're not comfortable because he is a rookie. But like most of us have said off air, cream rises to the top. And if your best player is your best player, then regardless of what his age is, then you have to give the guy the ball. So it's kind of natural that we saw the first drive, to D-Mac's point. We saw our best players touch the football, fellas. We saw Isaiah Pacheco, Rashee Rice, and Travis Kelce all get touched that first drive. Guess what it was? Touchdown. Boom, 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 flow down the field, look like the old Chiefs, right? So as long as we're giving our best guys the football and designing plays for your best players, that gives you the best chance to win. And that's what all we've been asking for the entire year. And like most fans know in the regular season, Andy kind of holds things back and tries to get other guys involved and to some of us, it may frustrate us, and we feel like we're banging our head against the wall at times. But when it's money time in the playoffs, you saw your best players touch the football, and I think that's all you can ask for. And Rasheed Rice has shown to be one of our best players, and especially one of our best weapons down the field. And I think if the Bills are going to play zone, and obviously there's some injury concerns coming into the Bills this week. Teron Johnson, their slot corner, is their best cover corner in my opinion, who's dealing with a concussion protocol thing this week. He may or may not play. If I'm banking on my money, y'all know it's us. Whenever somebody sees the Chiefs, they're going to play. So I expect them to be fully out there. But like D-Max said earlier, they're dealing with a lot of injuries in their linebacker room. Matt Milano's already out. Benford, one of their DBs, is out. And I think one of their linebackers, Bradford, 43, the other one may not play this week because he's dealing with an ankle injury. So they got a lot of moving bodies in that linebacker room. And this probably isn't the week to be weak as far as coverage in the middle of the field because you have guys like Rasheed Rice and Travis Kelce who can beat one-on-ones and get open. So it should be a big week for both of those guys. And if I'm the Bills, like D-Max said, I think they do play more zone because I don't think they have the talent enough to play man-to-man, honestly. From corner all the way down to linebacker from outside in, I don't think they really want that matchup because I think if they do play man, I think that's advantage us. So I think they rather play zone, keep your eyes on Pat, force guys that have to sit in holes and sit in the spots that have to find ways to get open and give you a chance for guys to get home like Leonard Floyd and obviously Von Miller I expect to play this week and obviously Ed Oliver and Rousseau and other guys up front. So I expect them to play more zone, more too high, keep the ball in front of you, make Pat have 8, 9, 10 play drives. Don't let them have 5, 6 play drives because if they play man and they give Pat a chance to see what the action is, and if it's single high and have a chance of guys to get open on deep crossers, we can run slants and have rub combinations. It'll be a long day for that defense. So I think Rasheed Rice done a great job of recognizing zone, knowing when to sit down when it's cover 2, obviously knowing when to split guys when it's cover 3 and finding ways up the seam. I think he's gotten better every week and obviously being more consistent with his hands, catching everything in front of him, finishing plays after the catch, which he's always been great at, led the league in yards after catch, which we love to see that from him. But I think the next evolution from him, obviously we saw it obviously a couple weeks ago, is catching the ball down the sideline outside the numbers. And we know he's able to. He's very explosive kid. He's obviously taller, one of the bigger receivers we have on our team. I would love to see him get some of those opportunities down the field that we throw into Mecole. Not to say I don't want Mecole to play, but some of those deep shots, I would love to see Rasheed get that opportunity because I believe he can make that play, in my opinion, especially if it's one-on-one in that scenario. Obviously, he's not going to run away from anybody, but in those situations, even on the Mecole, when he's not necessarily running away from the defender, it's essentially a one-on-one situation where you may have to use your body and use your physicality to go up there and make that catch. And I think he can make those type of plays. So hopefully we do get to see that opportunity because to D-Mac's point, I think he gets the advantage because I don't really necessarily love the DBs for Buffalo. Obviously, Kyer Elam is a bigger corner, but I don't think he's that fleet of foot. So if it's Rasheed versus Kyer in that matchup, I would take Rasheed for me personally. It's going to be a good matchup to see what they do, but I definitely think Buffalo plays more zone and try to play a little more too high. Really, anything with zone eccentric mainly instead of playing man. Because if they blitz Pat, I don't think they want those kind of problems because Pat usually kills blitz man for sure.
Yeah, they're not going to blitz. Also, Rasheed Rice hasn't had a drop since week 12. Go ahead, DJ.
Blitz Pat if you want to. Just watch the
Exactly.
Dolphins tape and watch what he does.
No,
against the
DG,
blitz.
let him think that. Tell him, let him blitz him. Go ahead.
All right, no, go, yeah, do it.
They
I want
can't
him
get over.
to.
Please blitz Pat, please.
Man, Rasheed Rice. Each week you see him grow and grow, and the maturation process continue with him. Watching him on Saturday night, like literally run his route, find the soft spot in the zone, get open for Pat. You know, when Pat was trying to buy some time, and then get right up the field. Like you can clearly tell that the game is slowing down for him. That he's seeing things, he's reading certain coverages, he's knowing what teams are going to do, and that's really good to see, especially from a kid like himself and so young in the game or whatever. You can tell he's going to be a special player. He's really got it. I think Pat trusts him a lot now. You can clearly see that Pat knows, like, I can rely on this guy and go to this guy whenever. And that's something that the Chiefs have needed for a while, ever since kind of Reek has left town. And they had it last year with Juju. And I think Rasheed has done a nice job of coming in and replacing that production and being able to give somebody, a go-to. You can clearly see that they trust him, when Andy is allowing him to be the number one on the depth chart, and putting him out there on Front Street and game planning for him, and scheming things up for him. So, yeah, Rasheed's done a nice job, man. I've really am impressed with what he's been able to do. I hope the growth continues. We're going to need him, especially this Sunday. I think this is a big challenge for him. It's a tough road environment, crowd yelling, screaming. So this is a good challenge for him to see where he's really at in his maturation process, and to see if he can really handle an environment like this. So I'm excited for that. And then I forgot what was the other part of the question. I forgot.
So you basically asking about obviously Rasheed and the offense, and how do you feel like they're going to try to cover us as far as the defense of the Bills?
Oh yeah, I mean for them, man, it's for me. It's gonna be the middle of the field. Is I think it's gonna be bad for them, especially if they don't got certain guys that can go. The linebacker core is obviously down bad with injury right now, so I think if they can't cover the middle of the field and we're able to attack that and really take advantage of that, that's really kind of been our bread and butter this year, going across the middle of the field with Trav and Rasheed. And that's kind of how we killed the Dolphins last week as well, too. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
I hope they have a plan for it. I
Yeah.
know McDermott is of course, obviously one of the better defensive minds in this league. So I'm pretty sure that there'll be some kind of wrinkle or something like that. But I expect Andy
Yeah.
and them to have those guys prepared and ready to go, and really ready to go out there and try to put up some points or
It's going to
whatever.
be a
But
big week. It's going to be a big week for sure. This is probably the best safety tandem, arguably. I could probably say top two, top three safety tandem in the league. Micah Hyde and
yeah,
Jordan Poyer.
man,
Those guys can kind of play anywhere on the field. So
them guys are
we
good,
want,
man. They're
yeah, they're
really
good. They've been
good.
there for a long time, so they know us.
They
We know
were
them. So
they were giving Mason Rudolph a lot of fits last week. I've
yeah,
seen a lot of different things, mixing, matching coverages and stuff like that
exactly.
they did with
I
them.
expect I expect one of those guys to probably play in the box a lot more. It'll probably be Jordan because
Yeah.
Micah's more of the deeper safety. Even though they both
Mm-hmm.
can interchange, if the linebackers really are out as we expect them to be because of injuries, they're probably going to have to pay a lot more. Because I think AJ Klein they just signed off the street last week. He was
Mm-hmm.
sitting at home, so they just got him on the bench. So I expect them to obviously put Jordan Poyer in that situation because he's more of a veteran presence. And obviously they're going to have to put somebody in there they trust because obviously they have another linebacker, 42. I forgot his name. He has dread that they had. The guy that was on their special teams that's starting for them essentially now with the injury that they've had. So if that is the linebacker crew they decide to go out there with, AJ Klein and the other kid that we got on special teams, and probably a lot of Jordan Poyer, that'd be a great opportunity for Trav and Rasheed to work the middle of the field because now they're going to have to track a lot of bodies that they necessarily don't want in the middle of the field. They would rather have Jordan be at the two high with Micah back there playing deep half, deep third, the way they usually do. But if they have to bring an extra DB down because they necessarily don't trust their linebackers in coverage, that's advantage us because now when we want to run the football, we have the advantage being bigger bodies in the middle of the field. So I think it's a good matchup for what we decide to do, but it's all predicated upon what does McDermott decide to do this week. That's a thought of mine of what I think he will do, but we'll see what happens on Sunday for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar thing to how last week it was really important in the interior of the offensive line to have a dominant performance from that standpoint. If this offensive line has the ability to establish that run, and I sound like a 1960s coach saying that, but being able to do that is very important in this game, like you talk about from the linebacker perspective, for them to be as weak as they are at the second level and then to pull those safeties down into the box and force those aspects. It'll be interesting to see how often the Bills give you that sort of look. All things considered, though, I think what that means is that eventually you are going to have to go back deep again. The the reality of the situation is, they're going to challenge you. They're going to challenge you with man. They're going to challenge you with zone. They're going to nail down on these guys. They're going to continue to make it very difficult for you to complete passes in the short and intermediate areas if you don't prove that you can go deep. And so, from this aspect, in my personal opinion, um, are you sticking with Miko Hardman as the primary deep threat? Are you trying to go back to MVS for the primary deep threat? Are you going to Justin Watson as the primary deep threat? Who is the guy that you want to see get those targets? For me personally, it's Miko Hardman. I think that even though they were just a tick off, we talked about a little bit of there being an issue for going ahead and actually being able to catch the ball with the lights at our head, whatever the issue may be. It seems like there is one, and that's backed up by statistical evidence. And I do truly believe that he can still make that impact. He's got to show better effort on some of these plays. That's certainly true. But look, no matter who it is, they have to have that element in the game. Otherwise, the Buffalo Bills won't be able to respect it. And they'll continue to make it incredibly difficult for them to move the ball, no matter how well you do run the ball. So that's my personal opinion. What about you guys?
There's going to be opportunities to have your deep shots, like you said. They're going to be some one-on-ones. If I had to choose, I would probably say I don't hate Mecole, but if it's me, I want Justin Watson just because of bigger body. Obviously, if there's a contested catch, he's shown the ability to make those catches more. I still want Mecole on the field for certain plays just because his speed draws coverage. He can run guys out of a too high, move guys out of a zone, and clear it out for someone else. So Mecole serves a purpose for this offense. A lot of Chiefs fans probably don't want to admit that after what we just saw from Saturday and him dropping the ball. But there's plays on the field where his speed can be used to clear out his zone, move somebody out the way, just like we did on that first. It was that little kind of it was a pistol formation. I sent the clip to y'all on Twitter. We should have posted it, but we were in the pistol. It was Mecole in the backfield, and obviously we had Pacheco next to Pat. They play action and put Mecole in the flat. It was a deep corner route by Mecole. I'm not by Mecole, about MVS, and Trav kind of ran like a hook in the middle of the field. So you kind of had like a flood concept. You had a short, a medium, and a deep route. And Pat read it high, 1, 2, 3, and MVS cleared it out. Mecole drawed up that flat defender, and Trav was wide open in the middle of the field. So there's plays where you have guys in certain positions where they can use their speed to clear zones out for guys like Rasheed, for guys like Travis or Justin Watson in certain situations. So I know we only take about maybe 3 to 4 deep shots a game. I would like to see 2 of those be to Justin Watson. I'm not saying Mecole can never get him D-Mac. He can have an opportunity in his offense, but if I'm giving the first deep shot, I'm throwing it to Justin Watson. That's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, in my personal opinion, I like Justin Watson a lot, but I think I think this is country, whatever he said. I think Mecole's speed is well more respected around the league.
Exactly.
I think people know that like when they line up, and it used to be 17, but now it's 12. When they see 12 on the field, they kind of know that, hey, we got to watch out for this guy because if he gets over the top on us, he can house one or whatever. He's just got that kind of elite speed in him. So I would definitely like to see Mecole get a lot more of those deep shots. I think Saturday night kind of had something to do with a little bit of the weather as well too, as far as trying to throw the ball in that air and things of that nature or whatever, you tracking the ball. And I'm not gonna sit here and say Mecole has the most elite ball tracking skills or whatever because he doesn't. Um, but at the same time, I think people really have to game plan and respect the speed that he comes off the line with, and it helps guys. I seen there was one route that he had where he literally ran up the seam and it opened Rasheed on the crosser or whatever. So as long as they have to respect it or whatever, that's the only thing I really care about. I wouldn't mind them going to Justin Watson because he's obviously proved that he can make some of those contested catches. I just think Mecole's speed is a little bit more daunting for a defense to kind of cover.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it can be a mix of all three. Ultimately, they just have to find a way, and it doesn't have to be 4 deep shots a game at work. You just got to hit 1 to 2, and make them respected, and also have those explosive plays. And part of it again is talking a little bit like I talked about, at least on the post game show, is you got to find a way to get touchdowns. And obviously, we know one got taken off the board due to a questionable penalty. But whether it's explosive plays down the field or it's scoring better in the red zone, you got to find a way to have touchdowns put on the board rather than just field goals. Because again, it's going to be very difficult as you continue to move up this ladder. You're going to face better opponents, specifically better quarterbacks, better defenses that are going to limit your scoring opportunities. And then also on the flip side, put up more points, even as well as this defense has been playing this year. So that either one of those things has to improve, and they have to continue to get better from that aspect for sure. Circling a little bit back between the offense and the defense, I mean, obviously, we know Josh Allen's history of turning the ball over. We know that this team has a significant issue of turning the ball over itself, and obviously didn't get out of the Dolphins game without having a fumble by CH, on his own right. Who do you guys think ultimately makes more mistakes from a defensive perspective? Who can take the ball away from the opposing offense?
You
I
saying
think
between our
between Josh and
defense,
Pat,
Josh and Pat, or
or
our
Yeah,
defenses.
I mean, who do you think is more prone to mistakes? You can certainly answer, or who do you think the defense is better, at taking it away?
it's
I mean,
definitely Josh.
Joshy, like you
Yeah.
said, he's thrown what out of 17 games he played this year, 13 of them he threw an interception. Like you said, he turned the ball over in every game, like essentially whether it not be a pick or a fumble, but he had a turnover in every game. So, yeah, this defense has been known. Obviously, we're getting that trend of turning the ball over like we were at the beginning of the year, and we were getting a lot of fumbles, and now we're getting back-to-back weeks with interceptions. Mike Edwards has been a great ball hawk for us, and Josh Allen, he's going to take his opportunity. As much as Joe Brady wants to calm him down, run a more condensed, slow-paced offense to where he doesn't take as many chances. It's in his DNA. That's what makes him a great player. He's going to make an amazing throw. He's also going to make a bad decision. It just is what it is. He's going to try to fit a ball into a spot where he doesn't need to, and he's going to force it. So you're going to have an opportunity to get an interception, just like Jamari Conner did versus the first matchup. Asked the Dolphins when he turned the ball over 3 times in the first half, fellas. I repeat, 3 times. So he's going to give you opportunities to get the ball away. So it's up to us on offense to take advantage of those opportunities he gives us. But if you're asking for strictly from a defensive standpoint, who's going to have more turnover, who's going to get more, I think this Chiefs defense takes that advantage for sure.
Yeah, it's Josh. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It's definitely Josh. I feel like there are times where Josh Allen plays hero ball a lot, and I think there are times where Pat tries to kind of do it too, but I think he's a little bit more conservative in his approach and can kind of scale things back when he needs to or whatever. You seen that last week. There were times like in the red zone last week. I thought Pat could have been a little bit more aggressive, and he was just like, "I'm not going to do it just because it's not worth it." Defense is playing well, so we'll just take our points where we take our points and put the defense back on the field and trust them. I think for Josh, there are points in time, like I said, he's to me he's the engine. And he goes that offense goes as he goes. So there are times I feel like he does have to, kind of put the team on his back a little bit and make a play for them. But at the same time, I think he gets too much into the mindset of hero ball and, trying to make that outstanding play, and it comes back to bite him. So I look the Josh Allen anytime interception. I wouldn't be surprised
Cash,
if it
big
happened
cash.
this week. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. But it's definitely Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, look, I completely understand, and Chuck points it out. He'd be surprised or doubts that they would have 2 clean games in a row again. He has not done that this season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, other people talking a little bit about Mahomes being conservative in the red zone. I understand it. It seems like there might have been a little bit of an issue with the icing in one of the end zones, and they might have been taking it easy from that aspect. And to your point, it seemed like the defense had a pretty good handle on what they were doing as far as Miami's offense was concerned, and so they were just taking the points. But you need to be more aggressive because they are going to find a way to put up more points as far as the opposing team's offense is concerned. I agree with you. The way that this team has changed the picture on defense, the way that Josh Allen is prone to interceptions, leads me to believe that he's going to be making more mistakes. The question for me is the defense going to take advantage of those? Fortunately, versus Tua, they did, specifically Mike Edwards with the interception, which does not surprise me because, in my opinion, he's the best playmaking secondary piece we have. And I mean playmaking from taking the ball away aspect. And so I think Josh is going to present some opportunities for them to do so. Can they take advantage is a question mark. And specifically, can the offense put Josh into those adverse situations in which he's prone to those mistakes? You talk about, obviously, Joe Barry want to slow things down, create more of a condensed, methodical offense. When you can put some points up and get Buffalo into not necessarily a game that they're comfortable in, that's when you can force some of those mistakes and really have a snowball. Juxtaposed to what you saw from Pittsburgh, where they were making the mistakes. They got down early. They were playing catch up the entirety of the game, and there was really nothing else that they could do from that standpoint. And the Steelers were able just to get walked down aspect. I mean, I'm good with deferring. I'm always a get the ball out of half type of guy. And
Put the
plan
defense on
around
the
that.
field. You dig?
Yeah, because
Ooh.
I do truly believe that this defense can go out there and get you a stop, even though we saw James Cook, have a really good opening script. But this defense gets you a stop and you get a score, it's good. You go down 7-0 and you still have your opening script to go off of. I'm cool with that. And again, I prefer just to have that ball after half. Go ahead, DG.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
Absolutely.
I like Saturday night. I like them being able to come out and receive and kind of go down the field and set the tone. It was good to see the offense to finally have an opening drive that went down the field for a touchdown. And I think it kind of got some momentum going for the team early on. So I wouldn't mind it in Buffalo, just to kind of quiet that crowd down or whatever. But at the same time, we all know if Chiefs win the toss, they're definitely deferring. So and then I don't blame him. That's always been Andy's MO. So I don't mind if that's the route that they go with as well too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Offense been one of the best in the first half as well. So no, especially if we get ball before half, start of the second half. Those middle 6 minutes, as we always say, final three of the first three of the second is always very important. So yeah, anytime we can get off the field, get a quick 3 and out, get Josh off the field, and get the ball back to 15, take the crowd out of it with a quick 3 and out, we definitely need that for sure.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
yeah. The other question I really do want to get to from that aspect, as often as we've seen with Jerry Sneed shut down, number one wide receivers, obviously Stephon Diggs would be the target for that this week. Do you guys have any concerns specifically for mismatches? James Cook at the backfield, both of their tight ends. Obviously, they've seen some very good contributions from both Khalil Shakur and Deontay Hardy. You know, two guys kind of building the same returner slot receiver type of mold, and then obviously Gabe Davis going deep, who we've seen have success versus us in the past. All things considered, do you guys have any concerns for their secondary playmakers in this game versus defense?
It's funny because like 2 years ago when we played the Bills, I was scared to death to play Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. Nowadays, with no disrespect, bro, I have not one worry about either one of those guys. I'm more so concerned, like D Mac just said, about Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. Not even necessarily like Dawson Knox, because like him and Khalil Shakur are very good players. They're good at being in the right spots where they need to be. But Dalton Kincaid is an athlete. He can run. He's a big target. He's a big body, 6'5". He can get out there and beat you in man-to-man coverage. Can run away from defenders. So obviously he presents the biggest mismatch to me, or the biggest issue about coverage wise, because I love Snead and I love Trent. Obviously in the slot, and obviously there's going to be other guys that have to be matched up on Kincaid when it comes to a Willie Gay or a Nick Bolton. They're going to find ways to try to, hey, how can we get our player who causes the biggest mismatch on someone for them that could be a troublemaker for their defense. So I expect Don Kincaid to be used a lot in the middle of the field. He's the one that I'm probably most concerned about as far as like those three you just named: Dawson Knox, Khalil Shakur, and Kincaid himself. He would be the number one for me, just because he's a fast guy. He can run. He's a big target. He can make plays after the catch as well. And they feed him a lot. They feature him in the middle of the field, kind of the way we do Travis. So he's a guy that a lot of us liked in the draft. We wanted him to be on the team. So he's definitely show a lot of promise for their team as well. And Josh loves feeding him, and Joe Brady's been kind of designing plays for him as well. So he's the one that offers the biggest mismatch for us for sure. He's a great athlete, obviously.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think Dalton Kincaid is the biggest X factor in this. Um, just from a standpoint of it's kind of our, I guess you could say, one of our weaker spots on the defense is in our safety room a little bit now that with Brian Cook going down. And then having not saying that Mike Edwards or Shamari Connor or Justin Reed can't get out there and play. But just in coverage basis, we've seen Justin Reed kind of struggle. You arguably would like to have Mike Edwards be, deeper playing back there and kind of being a rangy kind of safety or whatever. So I think this matchup kind of comes down to what maybe Shamari Connor can do against him. Can he kind of prove that he can guard him in some one-on-one matchups? As far as the outside guys and Gabe Davis, I don't even know if Gabe Davis is going to play. He didn't practice today, so we'll
If he
see.
do, he ain't gonna be 100%. So
Yeah, he's definitely not going to be 100%. So I'm not worried about Diggs at all. Snead against Diggs, I think. Good luck. The way that Snead is playing, the mindset that he's playing with right now, you can clearly tell they pissed him off, not putting him all pro, and you can tell it pissed that locker room off as well too. So
I
yeah,
do this.
yeah. Good luck, Stephon. I know Stephon Diggs is arguably everybody would probably put him top 5 receiver in this league or whatever, but yeah, good luck going up against that, especially in the cold weather and knowing that the mindset that Snead is playing with right now, he's playing bully ball at the line. So, yeah, I'm not worried about that matchup at all. So,
And compare from like obviously the two games we've seen each other in the playoffs. Obviously, the AFC Championship one where we like demolished them from top to bottom. So that game is not really in play. But the last thing, the 13-second game, and then the matchup for the game on Sunday night. Which one? Like obviously, knowing the guys who didn't play, knowing who did play. This game, I'm much more confident in, fellas, just based off the names that DG just said. Legarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie are both all pro in my opinion this year. Whether you think they both were first team, second team, there weren't four better corners in the league. Well, there's there's two regular corners, a slot corner, so there really is six. I don't think there were six better corners than those two. So I think both of them should have made All Pro this year, in my humble opinion. But to go into a game like DG said, when you have two guys who can cover your number one options on both sides of the field, and you can feel very comfortable doing that, that just gives you so much more options and range as the defensive coordinator. And in Spag's perspective, he can call anything he wants with the defense because you have not only one but two corners. We haven't been able to say that in a very long time, especially in the Mahomes era. You have two corners you're very comfortable with covering guys in the slot or outside. So going into this matchup, that's what gives me the most confidence because I know we can go out there and lock guys up. And watching that mic'd up from Snead just even made me more hyped up for this game because obviously he was definitely pissed off and disrespected for not being an All-Pro for first or second team because we all know he should have been that. It wasn't even a debate. But the fact that they did, that kind of put a lit of fire underneath him that was already lit because as we all know, the contract year is undefeated. Shout out to TP for saying that. But I think this is a great matchup for these guys because they've seen them multiple times. We've seen them over the last 2 years. We've seen them almost every year when we're in the playoffs, it feels like. So there's nothing that obviously Joe Brady in that offense from the outside receiver standpoint can do to really shake these DBs. And I think they're very confident going into this matchup. So they give me more confidence going into the game because I know they can hold down and lock down their own, which allows us to put more guys in the box, a lot of guys to allocate more resources to keeping Josh Allen in the pocket, not letting James Cook get off in the run game and keeping those guys trying to keep them inside their own 50, not letting them necessarily get inside the red zone too much. Because like D-Mac said, the Dolphins really only got in that red zone that one time because of that D-Mac deep threat. The Tyreek deep threat. If Tyreek doesn't catch that ball, we're not really talking about the Dolphins getting in the red zone. So
D-Mac, you running routes?
I was about to say, I'm going out there running routes. Oh, damn. I didn't even know I
said
was.
I'm running routes.
I thought I saw you out.
I
I
thought
was
I
looking.
seen you
I
out
thought I
there,
saw
nigga.
you
I
out
thought I
there,
seen
brother.
you out Nah, but like y'all know my slogan, man. This defense they've seen every receiver you can think of the last 3 years. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra, Keenan Allen. Who else am I missing? Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Like any top receiver in this league you can name, this defense is seeing, this secondary is seeing. So they're more than built for this moment. And that's what gives me the most confidence going into these games. Because DG, we're used to being the team that always has the lackluster DBs and we can't cover the number one receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Now we actually have those two dogs out there that we can put on anybody that they want to put out there, and we know they're going to go out there and handle the job. So that allows guys like Willie Gay, Nick Bolton, and Drew Tranquil to be more confident knowing, hey, they're going to do their thing outside. They're not going to let you get beat over the top. It's our job to make sure the middle of the field is locked in. And like I've always said, the middle of the field is where football is won. In between those numbers, in between those hashes, that's where football is done. So if you can cover guys in the middle of the field and not let Donkey K get off, obviously we know they're going to try to get James Cook involved a lot in the run game and the pass game. If you can do that, your defense gives you a great chance to get off the field and give the ball back to 15 as many times as possible. The more time he touches the ball, gives us more chance to score. As we know, this defense is going to give this offense the opportunity for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the spine of the defense. Both of these teams really do want to get over the middle of the field, specifically because of the way that, Joe Brady has kind of shifted their offense to being a little bit more downhill, wanting to run the ball effectively, and then using those two tight ends, off of that, and then obviously Josh Allen's arm and his legs being able to be a threat. We know what the Chiefs offense wants to do. They want to get the ball to Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice in the short to intermediate areas and move the chains and move the sticks. And then, also run the ball on a consistent basis and lean on the interior offensive line. That's great. And, if it happens to link up, it gets some deep threat shots that will not be going to me, fortunately, for everybody's sake. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this matchup because I do think it's going to be a great game. I do think it's going to be a close game, ultimately speaking. So I figured we go ahead and give some predictions, or do you guys want to go around the league first, real quick, considering we had some wild card weekend stuff happen.
We can do score prediction.
Yeah, that's cool.
Let's go to score predictions and X factors. Who do you think needs to have a great game for the Chiefs today with a win? And what are your score predictions?
X factor on defense for me would be Drew Tranquil. Obviously, we know he didn't play the other matchup, and obviously he's going to have a big game. Him and Willie Gay out there in the same role a lot. Nick Bolton's a bit on the field, and he's calling the defense. But Drew Tranquil's going to have a big matchup because I expect them to spy a lot with Willie Gay. So Drew Tranquil's going to have the assignment of trying to cover Dalton Kincaid, like we spoke on earlier. He's their X factor for me. He's the one that gives me the most pause for concern just because he's a big target. He's 6'5". He can run. He can run away from defenders. He can run after the catch. He's good at making contested catches as well. So he's the one that obviously has the biggest concern for me. So Drew Trank will be my defensive X factor. My offensive X factor would be Justin Watson, because like you said, we're gonna have 3 or 4 deep shots this game, like we normally do, and we're gonna have to have an opportunity. We're gonna have to hit at least 2 of them. We're not gonna hit all of them. I just need to hit 2. If we can hit 2, I'll be fine. I would prefer 2 of those opportunities be thrown to Justin Watson. I know Miko's gonna get some, like we spoke on earlier, because of his speed. But if Justin Watson can make 1 or 2 of those catches down the field, those 20-yard explosive plays, like we just need 2 of them to happen in the game. If he can get those and make plays on those balls, I think we can have a great opportunity to go out there and win this football game. So yeah, Drew Tranquil and Justin Watson are my 2 X factors for sure. My score prediction: it's gonna be a tight game, just like they always are with the Bills. Outside of that first time we seen them in the AFC Championship game, I'm gonna go Chiefs. Chiefs 24. Actually, yeah, Chiefs 24, Bills 21. Game winning field goal, Bucker.
Um, yeah, X factor on both sides of the ball. I think defensively, I would like to see Charles Omenihu put his imprint on this game a lot. I think last week I seen some things, especially that Spags finally had him doing. I seen he had him finally rushing from the inside. So I think right. I think Charles Omenihu will be a big factor in this game, especially if he can kind of wreak havoc on that line. Need him to bring that same energy and effort that he's been bringing for the last couple of weeks or whatever. You can clearly tell there's a difference with this defensive line when he's out there. Offensively, I mean, I'd hate to state the obvious, but I'm gonna go with it. This is a Patrick Mahomes legacy game, man.
Mhm.
This is where 15. You gotta
First
be
one?
great. Yeah,
First
this
one?
is this is where you gotta be great, man. Go be great. Go do what you got. It's a lot of narratives on the line. A lot of people doubting you. A lot of people telling you that you can't win on the road. Can't play in this kind of environment. We never seen it before. You know, have that mama mentality. It's time to put the ski mask on. It's time to
Indeed.
be petty Levine Mahomes. It's time to bring that guy out and to have the world pissed off at you again. Make them hate you again. Brady, man, I hate to keep going back to Brady, but Brady in a lot of these spots, he was the villain, man. He embraced it every minute of it, every second of it. So I think that's the X factor offensively for this game. This is your chance to submit legacy right here. Yeah. So score prediction, I'm gonna go 26-23, and I'm gonna agree with CJ. I think Harry get us out of there with a game winning field goal.
You dig?
You know, I think
Another
he
all pro.
puts
Another
us
all
through the
pro. You
AFC
dig?
title game.
You feel me?
So last week, I kind of predicted a little bit of a lower scoring game, obviously, given the weather and everything. I didn't think that they were necessarily going to come out and kind of sling the ball over the field like they ended up doing. Um, I can't say Patrick Mahomes is my X factor because I have no reason to believe that he's not going to play well. I think that when you get to this time of year, and specifically in these matchups in which you've seen versus Josh Allen, there's a different level of locked in that he gets to. Um, that I have no doubts about what he's going to bring to the table as far as his level of play is concerned. My offensive X factor is, it's maybe it's naive, but I do truly believe that it's going to be Miko Hardman. The fact that they took those shots to him, the fact that they were willing to keep throwing those shots to him, the fact that Mahomes trusted enough to keep throwing those shots to him and give him multiple opportunities to, I think it'll be a massive point of emphasis from the standpoint of Miko. I don't know what it is, whether it's effort, if they're holding, play through it, get through it. Understand you got to fight through it because I'm trusting you to get this job done. They're going to make it very difficult for us to throw the ball short. They are going to challenge you to get over the top and make big plays. You can be the guy that can change the game from that aspect. I think Mahomes trusts him to that level where he's going to continue to give him those aspects to actually get the ball deep and make a huge play. So I think Miko is the X factor from offensive perspective. I believe in this offensive line to get the job done. Somebody's going to have a holding penalty. It's okay. It is what it is. It'll happen. You move on from it. The interior offensive line is going to be great. I do believe that they're facing an even easier matchup than I think Christian Wilkins and Ziegler are better than Ed Oliver and whoever they line up next to him as far as the Bills are concerned. That being said, the Bills' defense is more complex. They present different challenges. I fully expect Patrick Mahomes to be able to sort out those challenges. Andy Reid to give them the proper answers to get the job done. To me, it's about if they can create those deep threats because I think they will be able to run the ball given the linebacker injuries. I think they will be able to throw to the short and intermediate areas when they're available. They have to create those explosive plays and put the ball in the end zone. On the defensive side of the ball, I'm probably going to shock some people by saying this. I believe it's Justin Reed. I believe Justin Reed has to have a good game. I believe this linebacking core is going to show up and do what it does. I think Drew Tranquil coming back in this game is going to be huge to be able to give them even more different looks, be able to spy, Josh Allen. I think that this defensive line showed in that Buffalo Bills game. They actually got more pressure than I expected them to, given how well the Bills offensive line had played to that point. I think they'll play the run better than they were. They'll have a plan from that. Certainly Spags will, from that perspective. I think they can handle the secondary, pass catch as far as the wide receivers are concerned. Khalil Shakir and Gabe Davis. I believe in what, our secondary is able to do. To me, Josh Allen's not really going to want to throw the ball at Mike Edwards. He's not really going to want to throw the ball at Shamari Connor, who got him last time. He's going to want to throw the ball at Justin Reed. It comes down to if Justin Reed can actually make a big play as far as maybe taking the ball away, just tipping the ball away, because at a certain point he's going to end up in coverage versus a tight end, and Josh Allen's going to target him. At that aspect, he has to be able to step up in coverage and make a big play. His physicality coming down the run game certainly will be an asset. But to me, Justin Reed is the X factor for this defense because he's going to play all those snaps. He's going to be out there and he's going to get targeted by the Bills passing game. Ultimately speaking, can he make a play or two that flips this game is going to be the key aspect. As far as score prediction is concerned, I think that this is a defense that's better than what you saw out of it in Week 14. They got one pick off of Josh Allen. I think they get two. I think they hold the Bills' offense to 17 points, and I think this offense is primed for a really good game. They won't necessarily have all of those scoring drives that they had last week, but I think they convert a little bit better and create some explosive plays. So I'm going Chiefs 27. I'm going Bills 17. And I think we're in the AFC Championship game in the bank. Speaking of, let's go around the league. Obviously, last week we saw pretty much blowouts across the league, including our game, outside of a very good Rams and Lions game that was extremely entertaining. Anything from Wildcard Weekend you guys want to hit on, and then we'll talk about the divisional round games a little bit.
Yeah, get rid of the 7th seed. I know the Packers won.
Oh, that ain't going nowhere, dog. That Super Wildcard Weekend not going anywhere, DG.
I get it, but man,
they won those 6 games on TV, DG.
I get it, man, but the wild card round was so much better when it was 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5, and that was it. Adding that 17, you can clearly just tell, bro, the Steelers had no business being in this playoffs, none whatsoever.
It's always interesting for sure.
Yeah, it is, but at the same time, it just creates for so many bad games, and there's teams that get in that I just feel aren't really playoff ready, I guess you could say, or whatever. So that was my only thought from it. But shout out to the Packers. Incredible.
That's why they're going to keep it. The Packers won.
Yeah,
they pulled off.
To go in and win. So first 7 seed ever do it. So
hey, there's 2 things they ain't going backwards on: playoff teams and games. I promise you.
Yeah, I know. They probably might add more.
Negotiations. In fact, mess around with them, they gonna want more.
Me 10 teams.
All done.
You feel
exactly. CJ, what about you? What stood out wild card weekend?
What stood out wild card weekend? CJ Stroud's here to stay, man. I know he's a rookie, and this is our first chance of obviously seeing him play a full 17 games.
Jordan Love too.
His first playoff action, but CJ Stroud and Jordan Love balled out, man. Them guys look like they weren't scared at the moment. Made throws in the middle of the field, made dice throws, made throws into tight windows, and they weren't scared at all. Obviously, Jordan Love didn't have much resistance because Cowboys got smacked up from the first play to the last play. Aaron Jones is out there looking like prime Chris Johnson, act like they ain't know how to tackle nobody. But no, overall, just to see the way CJ Stroud has played this entire year, I've been the most impressed with him. And I've talked to DG and D-Mac off air about this. Without his tackles, without Nico Collins, without Tank Dale, it didn't matter. CJ Stroud overcome all of those adversities the entire year, and he's shown that he can be one of the next elite quarterbacks in the AFC, not only in the AFC, but the NFL. So when we start, obviously, we always, the rule is a thumb for me is I want to see a guy have 2 good years of production before I start putting you in ranks and up tiers and where we think he can be. Obviously, we know Pat is on his own tier. And then the next tier for me is Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. And then the third tier is kind of like that mix of like Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, and if you want to throw some other guys in there. I think if CJ Stroud has another good year following up next year, regardless of how he ends this season, he can be a guy that can be in that third tier quarterbacks. And that's kind of shocking to say for a guy who's only going to be in his second year of football in the NFL. So he showed me a lot this year, and I was definitely impressed. I liked him a lot coming out of Ohio State. I thought he could make all the throws, good stature, can move, and have decent athletic ability and mobility to get out of the pocket. But to overcome all, and that's the thing that separates good quarterbacks from great ones for me. When we start talking top 5 and top 10, how do you overcome when things don't look good? If you're missing a tackle, you're missing a tight end, a receiver, your coach isn't calling a great game. How do you overcome those things? He did that all year this year for me. So my cap and respect goes out to CJ Stroud. Obviously, he has my name, so definitely respected him. He had a hell of a year for sure. And I'm expecting some spicy things Saturday, fellas. I'm not saying an upset, but just to let y'all know, I took the Texans at +9.5. Do with that what you will. Just saying. That's a big number.
What are the quarterback tiers that you referenced there? Because I'm actually interested. I assume Mahomes has his own tier, and then
Pat has his own tier. Joe, Lamar, Josh, that's tier 2, and then tier 3 is kind of like a mix. Some guys are kind of up and down. Obviously, I want to see it like once I watch all the film and grade, but I kind of had Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, those guys, Trevor Lawrence, all in that third tier right there. And obviously, you have the older guys as far as like Rodgers and those guys. But I didn't really rank them because they're older. I don't know how long they're going to play. Yeah, those guys may not play that long, but guys that are going to be in the league for the next 5 to 10 years, that's kind of how I rank them. So,
do you think? I mean, the way Stroud is playing, it's amazing. It's very difficult.
Season, I agree with you. Like he's up there, but I want to see him do it again. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, and then he has a down year. Then we're reaching. But if CJ Stroud has a decent season next year and does what not even exactly what he had an amazing season this year. He even throws for 4,000 yards, just that, and 20 touchdowns. I think he's a guy you can put in that tier 3 conversation, in my opinion, because he's getting there very, very quickly. Go ahead, DG.
As a Chiefs fan, I hate to say this, but we in trouble, y'all. That kid,
dog, bro.
Bro.
CJ dog.
Look,
I had to go check. I was like, damn.
Right.
First round pick too. So it's not like they out of a first round pick. They just have theirs later instead of trading it down.
Listen, the Texans they may just be a year off right now, but I really feel like CJ is gonna give us a lot of issues here in the future.
Facts. I'm excited to play him. I want to see him for sure.
Yeah, we got to be ready for him or whatever. I also think, man, Jordan Love clearly has impressed me through this year or whatever, especially with all the ups and downs that he's kind of been through this year. I know early in the year it started off a little rough, but man, to watch him go into an environment like Jerry World and swing it the way he did, some of them throws I've only seen a couple quarterbacks be able to make.
He had a couple Aaron Rodgers type throws.
Yeah,
they look like Aaron.
I've said it multiple times this season. You could tell he sat for the last 3 years and just watched Aaron Rodgers throw the ball because he throws the ball like Aaron Rodgers at times. Those back foot fadeaways, but he has all the arm strength to pull that off, and very few people do have that ability. But he also has the touch to go along with it. Jordan Love and CJ Stroud, absolutely young guys in their first playoff action. When I see him throw that ball,
I think there was
that quote.
It was a throw he had to to Romeo Dobbs, I think in the end zone.
Yeah,
and I was
are you talking about when he's going right and throws it back?
Yeah, bro. I was like
going right. DB coming this way, he throws it low and away, off balance.
Yeah.
It was a spectacular.
The NFC is in trouble. The NFC is in trouble.
That was tough.
And
That was tough.
it's so fun to watch when quarterbacks are playing at that high level where you feel like they have all control of everything. Speaking of which, actually, because Robert Mays of the Athletic Football Show just tweeted this out, and I actually forgot this throw happened in the Bills game last time. I wanted to show this highlight from Week 14, where Mahomes was just not looking at Rasheed Rice and then threw it back across his body. He was able to get in the back of the end zone, but when you see quarterbacks pull off stuff like this, and like you saw from Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud, it's just awesome to watch. It's quarterbacking at the highest level. It's those trick shots that are fun. As far as wild card weekend is concerned, we talked about the blowouts. C.J. Stroud, Jordan Love, absolutely impressive. Two guys that I thought were certainly worthy of where they were picked. Some people had questions about Jordan Love in the first round. Some people had questions about C.J. Stroud being as high as he did. I didn't have those questions. Both of those guys, Jordan Love, I thought had the traits to go in the first round and just needed a little bit of development, which obviously he's gotten. CJ Stroud, I thought was the best quarterback in the draft, the most pro-ready guy, and he certainly proved that to this point. The Lions and Detroit game I thought was fun. I expected to be a lot of fun. Enjoyed watching that game back and forth. We saw some Matt Stafford trick shots early on, and I was like, okay, we're getting an entertaining ball game today. It just came down to the wire. Maybe a few Sean McVay timeout bad decisions here and there shifted a little bit, and the Lions will be or have won their first playoff game in over 30 years, and now will be hosting a divisional round versus the Buccaneers, who dismantled the Eagles, which was expected from my perspective. The Eagles, bad coaching, injuries without AJ Brown, terrible scheme. I expected the Buccaneers to win, and they won handily. And so that'll be an interesting game to watch, certainly. Jordan Love and the Packers will be going over to the 49ers because they took care of Dallas Cowboys, who for some reason are keeping Mike McCarthy, which makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. I'm eliminating the Dallas Cowboys from any contention next year. And I promise you they could be 16-0. I will tell you in week 17 that they are not winning a damn thing as long as Mike McCarthy is the head coach. I promise you that it's not happening. And if Philly knows anything, obviously Nick Sirianni will be fired as well. Obviously on the AFC side, it remains as Baltimore as the one seed hosting CJ Stroud and the Texans. We did see this game all the way back in week 1 where CJ Stroud in his first game action did go down to the Ravens, but it'd be interesting to see how much he's grown. It seems like a lot. Since then, the Ravens defense is certainly a much different challenge than what the Browns are from changing the picture perspective. They are still incredibly dangerous as far as getting after the passer, incredibly athletic like the Browns are. So I'm going to be fascinated to see how he plays versus them. The question of if he's able to get past that challenge is going to be fascinating because the Browns have a very static coverage scheme. They're going to run their cover 3. They're going to run their cover 1. They're going to dare you to beat them. The Ravens change the picture on a consistent basis. They will run everything under the sun, and they will not give you any clues as to what they're about to run before they do it. That's a very different, challenge that he's going to be coming up against. So I want to see him. We're still in that rookie evaluation process. But if this is a test that he happens to pass with flying colors, even if he loses but still plays well, man, like you talked about, the AFC is going to be in some trouble. And obviously, on the other side, Jordan Love going up against a very good 49ers defense, a 49ers defense that's far more equipped to deal with Matt LaFleur's offense than Dallas Cowboys were. Another big challenge for Jordan Love to see if he's able to pass. But yeah, those are my thoughts on division round games. Anything you guys want to hit on for the division round?
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to see how CJ handles this test on the road in Baltimore. I know it's gonna be a very hostile environment. I wouldn't say I would pick them to win, but I do think there's an opportunity that he plays very well, and maybe has a possibility to shock the world on the road. It'd be very shocking to me. I know how good Lamar and them is in that stadium or whatever, but it does kind of give me a little. If I was a Ravens fan, it would give me a little bit of worry with them having to sit that long, and just knowing you're facing a team that's virtually hot at this point in time and been playing good ball down the stretch. I'm also intrigued to see the Packers and 49ers matchup. I think a lot of people are doubting Jordan Love and what the Packers team can do. And I think they can go in there and they can give the 49ers some fits.
A
With
little
that
fight.
defense or whatever. I know that defensive line is very good, so they'll have to be ready for that. But I think that secondary of the Niners can be had a little bit. I know Little Mooney's out there or
Lil
whatever. Shout
Mooney.
out to him for the All Pro year or whatever. But I think that there's some other guys in their secondary that they can kind of scheme up some things for or whatever. So I think that game is going to be a lot closer than I guess what Vegas thinks that game is going to be right now. So
I got a ticket for this weekend. If y'all want to make some money, take the Texans plus 9.5. That's way too many points. I think the Ravens win the game. I think the Texans cover that.
Mhm.
Take San Fran on the money line. Take Detroit on the money line. And then obviously the Chiefs got up to 3.5. I caught it this morning on ESPN Bet. So those will be my 4 tickets. I got those 4 together. I got it at plus 400. So that's do with that information what you will. That would be my ticket for this weekend. That's how I see the games playing out. And for y'all too, which scenario would be more hilarious for us as fans in general, not even just Chiefs fans, to see the Ravens lose at home or to see the Niners lose at home? Which one would have Twitter in more of a frenzy?
The Ravens. The
Chiefs
Ravens
Twitter
lose.
or just NFL Twitter?
NFL
Chiefs
Twitter.
Twitter. The
If
Ravens.
the Niners lose at home to a 7 seed or the Ravens lose at home to the Texans, which one do you think would have Twitter more of a frenzy?
Chiefs Twitter would have more of a frenzy over the Ravens losing.
Obviously, yeah.
Ricky quarterback, AFC side, all the talk about the Ravens being the big dogs all year long. Justified, I will say. If you lose, yeah, that would be the Chiefs Twitter. But overall Twitter,
Shit.
which is tough. Because on one hand, I've mentioned it in the post game, and I think I mentioned it last week as well. Lamar Jackson has to get to, probably AFC Championship game minimum, probably Super Bowl. And if that doesn't happen, the slander will not be pretty. It will be very ugly. Yeah. So that's a big thing. The Niners go one and done after their great season, and Jordan Love walks in there and takes it over. I mean, that's not going to be great either. I would probably say in both instances, Ravens probably get a little bit more slander. I don't know why I feel that way, but I do feel that way. What did you had a San Fran money line, Detroit money line,
Chiefs plus
Texans
3. Yeah,
Chiefs
the
plus.
Texans plus 9.5. Yep.
Well, my personal, I would go Chiefs money line because I just to
I
boost
mean, if
those
you want
odds.
to be I did that separate. I did that separate by itself, D man. You
Yeah,
already
yeah,
know.
of
You
course,
already
but
know. You already know. You already know.
hey, man, scared money don't make no money. So
You
I would
did. You
go
did.
Chiefs
You
money
did.
line. I would go Chiefs money line. I would go San Fran minus 9.5. In my personal opinion, I do think that even though LaFleur's offense is very good, and I think they'll find enough points, that Joe Barry defense is going to be torn to shreds. In my personal opinion, it's not a hey, we got one guy like CeeDee Lamb that you got to shut down, and then we can kind of play off of it. I think Kyle Shanahan is going to have his way with that defense for the Packers, as far as I'm concerned. So I think it'll be a 10+ point win for the Niners. So that would be my little odds booster. And then I also feel Detroit money line. I don't necessarily love. I don't know what the spread number is, but I think the Bucks keep it close enough
You're
to
like
where I wouldn't
4.
feel. Yeah, I think that's a
You're like
little bit
4.
too many points. So I'd go Detroit money line, Chiefs money line. I would go the Niners plus the 9.5, and then also or minus the 9.5, I should say. And then I will take the Texans and the points as well because I do think they keep it within 10. I think CJ Stroud is a little bit better equipped, and that specifically that Texans defense is a little bit better equipped to keep that game within single digits from that aspect. So that's where I'll lean. Manual money line means that the odds are a little bit skewed based on who is the favorite, but ultimately it's who you think will win. Flat out.
Yeah, that's it.
And no points either
Who
way.
you
Just who
got
you think
winning,
will
Manny? Put your winners in the
That,
comments. I want to see what
listen,
y'all
that
think.
9.5, I couldn't do it. I'd have to wind it down.
I can't do that. Given what I've seen, like you said, the Niners
Give me
should beat the
3.5.
Packers. It ain't gonna be nasty, but given the fact what I've seen, Jordan Love get hot at this moment, and the
Yeah,
history that the Packers and the Niners have,
it's too risky for my boy.
the Niners should win this game like by a lot. But I just got a funny feeling Jordan Love gonna keep it close, and I feel like Brock Purdy's gonna do something that he shouldn't do, and Kyle Shanahan's gonna be like, "Why aren't you running the ball, Kyle?" And blah blah
Is the
blah.
is the Cam Newton myth gonna gonna fulfill its prophecy.
Yeah, the game manager little mystique may creep in.
Y'all
That
don't know
I
that
can't
clip
take.
going triple platinum if Brock Purdy don't win a playoff game, man.
That's why I
Listen,
asked the question.
crazy.
That's exactly why I said if the Niners
You got
lose
two
or if
up
the
out of
Ravens
there.
lose, who gonna be
Ooh-wee.
like the Twitter gonna be crazy if the Niners lose? Do you know how crazy this will be?
Sir, this is not true.
Oh
We
my
beat them in
goodness!
overtime to clinch the division. That's not true. Sorry, keep going, CJ.
No, it'll be disgusting if either team loses. But I know Chuck said he landed 9 with 9.5. I can't do it, bro. I can't do it. I don't think Vegas wants none of these games to be blowouts. I think they want all of them to be close for obvious reasons to keep people watching, keep us talking about it. So I think the Packers and the Texans both cover their big spreads. That's why I'm taking both with the 9.5. I can't lay the Niners with the points. I think they win the game. I just can't take them to. I can't take them to win by 10. I can't do it.
Okay, that's good. It's good talk,
Too
man.
risky my blood.
Too risky, bro. Can't do it. Can't do it. Oh yeah, I already got the Chiefs on the money line. Y'all already know how that goes. That's a separate.
I mean,
Chiefs money line. Stop playing. Stop playing.
Anytime the Chiefs are plus money with Patrick Mahomes,
Take that.
you take it.
He's a dog. But I think this is his first playoff game as an underdog. Am I not mistaken?
I think so.
he was underdog to the Eagles last year.
Oh yeah, the Super Bowl.
Oh, the Super Bowl, non-Super Bowl wise, obviously, just playoff game. But yes.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yep.
Yeah, they were the underdog to the Buccaneers as well. No, not the Buccaneers. They were underdogs to the Eagles, I should say. Is what I meant to say. No, you're good. So yeah, he's I believe I wanted to see. So in the 9 regular season starts as an underdog, Mahomes is 7-1-1 against the spread, and obviously he won the Eagles game. So take that for what it is. You get Mahomes plus some points. It's always a scary proposition to go through.
That +3, nice fellas. I had to take that. I'm like, thank you.
There you go. Yes, many conversations will be had about Lamar if CJ does.
Hello. Bro, if CJ go in there and beat Lamar, bro, this Saturday or Sunday, if either one of those teams, if the Niners or the Ravens lose, this app will be hilarious for 24 hours. Really 48 hours. But there'll be another game on. But if either one of those teams lose, good God.
Yeah.
Well, the weekend will be wrapped up Sunday night, 6 or 5:30 Central Standard Time in Buffalo. They will not move that game. I don't care how much Buffalo fans cry. And look, you're going to get Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, this elite defense going on the road. Patrick Mahomes' first road playoff game, even though he did go on the road versus the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. And we'll see what happens, man. We will be back next week, obviously. You can catch Kingdom Cast right here tomorrow evening as well as we preview the game with Chuck Kiley, Boogie, and the crew as well, country. And talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Go Chiefs.